Hello and welcome to the Football Show podcast with me, Mark Connor.
Me, Ryan Baird.
Me, Jordan Ruddy.
And me, Ewan Lawson.
We'll be talking about some of the biggest issues in football, starting with Gordon Strachan being appointed Scotland manager. So what do we all think? Do you think this is the right appointment for Scotland?
I think he's the man for the job. I think he's capable, more than capable, of cleaning up the mess that Craig Levein left behind with not playing the right players, not getting the wins, just being a bad manager. I think Gordon Strachan's the guy fixing it.
Jordan?
I think it's a good appointment. I think it's a good fit. He's not done so well with previous clubs, but it just seems like in terms of the whole setup, where he knows a lot of the players already because he's had first-hand experience with them, and it just seems like it's going to work out. I hope it does anyway.
Yeah, Ewan, what do you think?
I think when Levein, even before he was sacked, everybody knew that Strachan was a logical choice, and when you look at what he has done, I know it didn't really work out for him at Southampton. Well, it worked out for a while.
It had ups and downs.
Coventry was a bit hit and miss. Middlesbrough was definitely a miss. But Celtic, I know it's a divided opinion, but a lot of people say that he's up there with Martin O'Neill, which there is some merit in that. And he's used to working in an intense environment with big players and big games, and that'll take him a long way, I think.
Do you not think though that his success at Celtic was kind of hindered a little bit by the state of Rangers at the time?
It was, yeah.
There was the Paul Le Guen.
They were pretty rotten at the time.
The end of Alex McLeish's reign.
I think in terms of the SPL, I think you could definitely make a case for that. He did do well in Europe, considering some of the players he did have.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually read that people always say that Martin O'Neill had a lot to spend and that's why he done well. But Gordon Strachan actually spent more than him during his time at Celtic. Obviously, he spent it on a lot more players, but a lot of them were all Deadwood players. Yeah. There was
$2 million for Adam Virgo.
Yeah, I mean stuff like that. That was Mark McGee, bought him from as well, who's now the assistant. So
conspiracy or something.
But yeah, I mean, I still think he will do well at Scotland. But
I think you can only beat what's in front of you, and that's what he did at Celtic. But I think that as Watersmith kind of developed his Rangers team, and we saw, I think it was 2008, 2009, Rangers were always going to win that league.
Yeah.
And it was, that Celtic team was kind of coming towards an end then, but
that was Rangers starting to develop an actual
it was. That
team.
Was
that
Stephen Davis was coming into.
They had a real spine, whereas Celtic were starting to lose their way a little bit.
Yeah.
I think the standard of football that they played as well, it didn't always please Celtic fans. I think that some always moaned that he wasn't a Celtic man, but I think that's daft.
Yeah, I don't think it matters.
Jock Stein wasn't a Celtic man.
I mean, great Celtic manager there's been, Jock Stein, and he didn't support Celtic, so in terms of that I don't think it matters, but I think in terms of the style of football he played, I can see fans' point of view why they weren't happy with him, and I can see why people now aren't happy with him being appointed at Scotland, but personally I think it'll work out.
What do you think about him making Scott Brown the captain while Dan Fletcher's not here?
I think it's a good shout. I think Scott Brown's really developed into a leader since being appointed Celtic captain. I think he's developed into a player that can push a team and get the best out of the players about him.
I think it's a good call. He's obviously worked well for a few years. It was him that signed him for Celtic from Hibs. In the first couple of years he was at Celtic, he didn't particularly do that well. He was I think the price tag kind of hindered him a bit. It was 4.4 million, which is a high price tag for a Scottish international.
Whereas at the time Kevin Thompson went to Rangers for half the price and was a far better player at the time on form.
But I think if you look at
personal issues in his life as well at the time for Brown as
his sister and everything,
if you look at it now, I think the past couple of years he's really come on to his game. I think since he's been given the captaincy at Celtic, I think he's been one of their strongest players, and I think it told in Europe just how much he puts into the team.
The difficult thing for Brown now is that he's developing into the player that he had the potential for, and now all of a sudden he's looking like his ankle could end up cutting his career short.
Yeah, it's one of these injuries that you can never really manage properly.
He's a couple of operations away from calling it a day.
Yeah, he was getting injections every week. I think that showed even how well he was doing at Celtic, because he was still playing for 90 minutes after getting injections every week. I mean, there was even weeks where he wasn't training, he was just basically playing, and he was still playing well for Celtic. So
think the suggestion was after the Spartak game, he was going to get the operation, but obviously he's not gone through with that.
Yeah.
So it is good that he's been able to, stay in the team and develop as a player. And now obviously he's getting his reward, being made captain. But we could be in the middle of a very important qualifier, and he could get that injury flared up, and then the whole plan.
Everything goes
Then
down.
he's
down the
for
toilet.
Scotland and Celtic.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably, if Celtic go out of Europe, get knocked out by Juventus, then he has to get the operation, because what else is he sticking around for this season?
So.
The rest of the team can cope without him.
I
Really,
think
the problem is they can't force him down, and
No,
he
you
won't
can't.
willingly want to do it unless
but
something
if
goes
Neil
really
Lennon
wrong.
says, well, I'm not going to play then,
Yeah.
until you get fix yourself, I'm not going to play, and then he's not really got much of a choice. But
I think in terms of Scotland, I think it's important that he does keep fit, because if you look at Darren Fletcher, the problems he's had with, is it the bowel disease that he's had? I think it's important that we have someone in the centre of the park. I think he's been playing right wing for Scotland. I'm not sure that.
what do you think about James Morrison or Robert Snodgrass though being in the centre of Scotland's midfield?
I think Snodgrass is definitely
He's more of a
proven
wide player,
that he's
I think.
capable of playing in a big need to win game for
Yeah.
Scotland.
I like Snodgrass, but personally I would play him in more attacking. I would say maybe a centre attack mid, maybe behind the strikers or even on the wing or something like that. But I think Morrison, I think he could play in the centre of the park.
Morrison seems to always do a job for Scotland. When you watch West Brom, he's quite anonymous, but I think if you look at the goals we've got in competitive games over the past maybe 2 or 3 years, he'll be in there quite a lot.
Yeah.
He's a big player for Scotland.
Scotland have got a good midfield at the moment. What do you think about Commons? Do you think he fits into the Scotland team just now? He's not
I think
starting
he's very hit
regularly
and miss.
for
Pe-
Celtic.
Commons.
Personally, I don't rate Commons personally.
When he first came to Celtic, he was amazing.
He was a player of the second
He
half of that
had
season.
scored
Yeah.
20 odd goals from midfield, which
In
nobody
6 months or
expected.
something.
Nobody expected that.
He's got a fantastic left foot on him. He's got a fantastic shot, but he just has no pace.
He's
whatsoever.
definitely got fitness problems.
and he
Yeah.
can.
You'll have to look at him.
it seems that when his wife's pregnant, he puts on the weight as well.
Maybe it's a bit of.
It's a solid
Maybe
marriage
he
right
feels
there.
guilty. His wife's telling him to put the weight on, so she doesn't feel so bad. But it seems he struggles to go by players, and I think the way football is, you need to have pace about you.
Especially in Scotland.
Yeah, because it's a physical league, so it's no more physical than anybody else. And they say the Cali Thistle team or the Aberdeen team, so he needs something that gives him a wee edge, which I don't think just now he's got.
No, he's
The thing is,
definitely
he does have those games though where everything goes right for him.
Right,
And
he
look
likes
at the
something.
Spartak Moscow game again. He pretty much secured Celtic £10 million with one kick of the ball.
I mean, if you look at the Scotland team, there is a lot of pace in that team. Like Chris Buck's just been caught up as well, and he's a pretty pacey player. So I think Maloney as well. I think Commons would struggle to get into that team. Personally.
Right now, he's strong. But we'll see how the team does with striking. Chris Buck might not work out for Scotland because
It
he's
might
been that
not,
long
yeah.
away from the
Yeah.
international scene. It might not work.
It's a bold call putting him back in.
I think it's the right call. I think too many people at Craig Lean called on players because of the team they were at rather
Yeah.
than
the
what the level they were playing at.
Yeah, because I mean, Chris Burke, he was great at Rangers, and he's doing well. He's playing, he's shining.
He's
at
really
Birmingham.
started playing brilliantly for Birmingham.
Yeah, I think it's the right move to put him back in the team.
It was always clear he was going to be a good player.
Yeah, like
He always had the potential as a youngster at Rangers, but he just kind of fell away because of money at Rangers. They started buying bigger players and he just kind of fell away. But staying with Scotland, just finally, who do you think should play up front? Think it should be one man up front or two?
Two.
With
Well, again, it really depends on who you're playing, but
yeah.
I think it's got to be someone with a bit of pace and Stephen Fletcher.
Rhodes and Fletcher.
Maybe
Anybody for
even
that?
Russell and Fletcher.
Russell and Fletcher.
Yeah,
I'd keep him the under 21s a wee while longer though. Johnny Russell.
I think, well, there's definitely hope for the future there. I think it tells Johnny Russell and Tony Watt. I think there's definitely strikers there who in the future could get into the international team. But I think right now, if it was me, if it was a qualifier, I would play Rhodes and Fletcher.
Rhodes and Fletcher.
yeah, that's
Moving on from Scotland onto the transfer window, what do you think the biggest move in the Premier League was?
into the Premier League. It was definitely Loic Remy to QPR. What appears to be a saving grace, starting in his first match, scoring a goal, but out of injury already. I mean,
It's bad luck.
people are going to ask about
What-
was it worth it?
Was there an injury problem there? perhaps people might
He
say.
wasn't having a great season at Marseille up
He
until
wasn't.
that
No.
point.
He wasn't prolific. Good player. Everybody knew of him and stuff, but he was
Mm.
never a 20 goal a season man. Not that
No.
I knew of anyway.
Which is kind of what QPR need.
They need it now. Yeah. Jordan, what do you think?
Yeah, well, the transfer window was pretty quiet in January. Kind of went out with a whimper, but I think I thought Daniel Sturridge was an interesting move. I thought it was quite a big move because how well he's done since he joined Liverpool, and he hadn't done so well at Man City or Chelsea. But
Do you think the fee was too much?
I think at the time people would have been questioning it because he hadn't proven himself
Yeah.
at a big club, and I think people thought 12 million. I thought they must have thought he's going to end up like Jordan Henderson, Stuart Down, another Andy Carroll, another Liverpool player where they've spent too much. But he seems to have proved the price tag so far.
So far, yeah,
But
definitely.
then you look at Demba Ba going to Chelsea for only 7 million.
7
so
million. He scored a decent. Is it a decent return?
3 or 4 so far,
Yeah.
or something like
bad
that.
knock at the weekend there off of Colaccini, but he's.
True. Is he out this weekend?
I think
sure.
he flew to Milan today. He didn't get an operation on his nose
Oh,
because it's broke. But
Probably not.
He's another one like Scott Brown in the sense that he's got one of those injuries that could flare up at any point,
Yeah.
and that's probably why he went for 7 million, because
Aye.
he's a good enough player to merit probably close to 15, 16.
Yeah, definitely, because there was always something wrong with him that they would put that clause in.
Yeah.
There's a clause like that. It's strange for a player that was so successful.
Mhm.
But would you think the biggest move was Ewan?
I think probably the biggest one in terms of European football is maybe even Balotelli going to AC
Of
Milan.
course, yeah.
It's a controversial one. It always is with Mario Balotelli, but you know, he made a great debut. He scored a penalty in the last minute against Udinese. That's what he does, and you know, I think he'll definitely bang them in for AC Milan. But I don't know if their manager, his name escapes me just now.
can't remember either.
And I know that he's not been really involved in football management for that long though. It's a
There was also a row today with Balotelli. Jordan, you know a bit about this?
Oh, it's about is it the brother of Silvio Berlusconi?
Yep.
And he
there's always something.
made a racist remark towards Balotelli. It wasn't.
I
Meant,
think
it meant a negative light, but I think
in Italian culture it's a normal thing to say.
Yeah.
Then when you bring it over here, all of a sudden it's a big
it's
racist.
like-
it's
Gets lost in
a-
translation.
It's like taboo. They say it,
Yeah.
but I think obviously, I think it sounds worse than what it is.
Definitely.
Because I've saw the video of it, and looking at from if me watching that, I thought it's an odd thing to say, but he didn't mean it in a racist way.
I'm sure if you were Italian you'd just be thinking, well, what are
Yeah.
they moaning about? But
Yeah.
the manager's name is Massimilio
It's a real tongue twister.
Allegri is
No,
the
I
second
Wouldn't have
name.
got that one. That's a question, a sport question. Isn't it?
I think he needs a big personality, a big manager to really
But
get
I-
the best out of him, and you know, maybe that Allegri is.
I think.
But he worked under Mourinho. He's
I
worked
know.
under Mancini.
That's the thing. Is there a manager big enough to
Maybe a Sir Alex
Do that.
Ferguson would have
I
sorted him out.
think.
Somebody like that with the discipline.
yeah.
I think AC Milan themselves, I think, will calm him down because he supports AC Milan and he seems like a big fan of theirs. So I think because it's his club, I think he'll fight for them, and I don't think he'll do as much. He'll mess around as much at AC Milan as what he did at Man City.
And will they stand for it with Berlusconi in charge?
No.
He's
Yeah.
but Berlusconi's, although he's a politician and everything, look at his life. It's a bit of a joke in
mental,
itself.
it's
Maybe
mental.
he'll see himself
Him and
about
Mario
it.
out in the town and
Exactly. Look at when he joined, he went to a restaurant to sign his contract, and all of a sudden there was a
yes.
riot in the street. The
Positive
fans-
riot. It's not a riot.
I know it wasn't even a bad thing.
But-
But he's a brilliant player, but he's not
Yes.
world class yet, in my eyes.
I think
I
what
think
he
he's
needs
got a
is,
ways to go.
I think he needs to be put in a stable position. I think he needs to be the star of the team, and he's just not, because I think being at Man City he's hampered that a little bit because of all the big players about him. But I think how young he is, I think he has to start being the star player of a team. I think AC Milan's going to be the team for that.
Especially this AC Milan team. It's pretty
Yeah.
poor.
Yeah.
In a very poor Italian league.
like he's basically walked into that team and straight away became one of their best players.
Yeah.
So
There's nobody else that really stands out that way. They've got some good players like
You've got your-
Serino and all that in
You've got
midfield.
your Rubinhos and stuff like that, but you've
not a
nothing-
real superstar though.
No,
That's
and
what Balotelli will be.
I'd say fits in as that. He's not a superstar,
Mhm.
but he's
I think-
nearly there.
I think
Yeah.
he enjoys like the limelight. He enjoys leading the team. He always he enjoys being like centre of attention,
Yeah.
and I think he'll do well for them.